Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to this cursed build, I suppose. Yeah, story behind this. The build you are actually seeing right now is not my original build. Yeah, I've tried to build this so many times, but it just didn't seem to be working out for us. So my first attempt, started building away. I'd been building for around about a half hour and then realised that I hadn't even been recording it. So that was attempt number 1. That was the first failure. So yeah, I had to bulldoze that and start all over again. Attempt number 2. So my original idea for this build was to go with like a sort of like your stereotypical kind of vampires, sort of like Dracula's castle. Like if you look in pictures and in movies and things, you normally see the castles are built on like big tall like rocky mountains with a big long winding path going up there and a moat around it, and yeah, like a bridge going over. And the building itself is normally quite a tall, thin building with loads of bits sticking out here, there and everywhere, and big, tall, pointy roofs all over. So yeah, that was the idea I originally had, to build something like that. And I went and built all that, and it took me forever. I had got to the furnishing stage and realised that the big grand entrance that I was wanting to put in that build just wasn't going to fit. The inside really wasn't that big at all, so I decided to just bulldoze that one and start again. And I had already spent like, I think it must have been about 4 or 5 hours on that build itself. Yeah, because doing the moat and placing all the rocks as well as all the plants and the actual building itself, it really took quite some time doing that. But yeah, decided to bulldoze that so I'd get the inside looking the way I envisioned it in my mind. And yeah, so then attempt number 3, I started building that, and I think I hadn't got as far as attempt number 2, but yeah, I think my computer had like done some update or something, and then you normally get like the little pop-up window saying to restart your computer, or if you can like postpone it till a later date, and that didn't like appear up while I was in game, so it just decided to restart itself while I was busy recording. So the recording wasn't saved, the build wasn't saved, so yeah, I had to scrap that idea. But that build was still quite on the small side, and there was some further ideas I was building up in my mind, so I wasn't too annoyed. I mean, well, I was quite annoyed that I had lost all of that, but it wasn't too annoying because it meant I could work on these other ideas I had sort of built up in my head. So yeah, this is attempt number 4. I'm pretty scared to upload this to YouTube because you never know, my computer might blow up. I'm sure this build is like cursed. It's quite fitting for a Halloween build though, I suppose, so yeah. But anyways, I stuck with it because there was a point where I just thought, you know what, just scrap it, just come up with a different build. And yeah, but I didn't. I stuck with it and I came up with this. But it is a lot bigger than what I did have originally planned, but in order just to fit everything in that, well, I haven't even fitted everything in that I actually built up in my mind. I think Sims 4 hasn't even got a lot big enough for what I had built up in my mind, and I probably haven't got the time to build the building that I thought up. But anyways, I'm quite pleased with this one. It's worked out quite well, and I've been able to get quite creative with some things on, well, with the interior deco at least. That's where I feel like my strengths lie the most. It's more like in decorating the inside of buildings rather than the outside. I mean, I can get the outside of buildings looking alright, they look quite nice, but I quite enjoy like decorating the inside better. But yeah, so as you might have saw earlier on, I was going to go with the sort of the black colour brick, but I know from my previous attempts, I had used that on the first actual build that I got built. Yeah, I had used that in that one, and I know a lot of some of the details I've put on the outside, they were just getting lost in the darkness of the full build, and they weren't sticking out as much as I'd like to. You just couldn't really notice them as much. So for this one, I decided to change it up and go with a lighter sort of brick colour on the outside, and like all the little bits of detail as well, which I suppose for a Halloween build, the darker colours are quite better, but I just thought so the detail doesn't get lost. I like this colour better, but yeah. So on the left side, I have made, like, when I was looking at pictures, there was buildings and they have like these columns coming off the side of the build. I suppose there probably is like sort of support or something like that, but that's what them three little columns are off the side. And we also have the sort of distressed crumbling little columns I've put there, which I thought like maybe that was like full height of that column, but over the years like it's just deteriorated and crumbled away a bit. Right now I've just been working on some turrets and just building the roofs for them, and I've built the roof like the same roofs that I used on my last Halloween build. Them sort of, I don't know what they're called, but well, as you can see, it's like the roof where it has the flat bit in the middle of it. It doesn't actually go up into a point, and then the roofs sort of like bow in as they go down. Yeah, I just wanted to create some of them, and later on I do go around all the roofs and put in like on the front I used the dragon. I think it's the one you can carve, like one your Sims can make, but if you put in like the bb.moveObjects, no, what is it? No, not that. bb.showHiddenObjects cheat. You can access it through that. But yeah, I've just took some of them and sized them up, and I put them in the, like, squidge it into the middle of the roof, and also some of them other little ornament things that are like, they look a bit like dogs. Yeah, but I've used some of them in the roofs as well. I've used them on the front if you like noticed them earlier on. Yeah, but I put them all around the roofs and on the front as like gargoyles. But I know they don't look like gargoyles because gargoyles are normally quite ugly looking little things, but there just wasn't anything else I could find, and they sort of looked a little bit like they could be gargoyles. But yeah, I've used them, and I also go and put obviously some of the roof ornaments and things that you can pop on the roofs. And yeah, these fences that I'm putting in right now took so long to place, and there's so many of them as well that I've placed. I don't know why I didn't just use a normal fence, but later on too I decide to change the colour up, change them to a darker colour, so I've got to go around each individual one and change the colour, which took forever. There's a lot of indecisive choices I have made on this. I'll go and put something in, and later on I just decide that I don't like it, so I've got to change the colour or change it up for something else. But yeah, I really wasn't sure myself what I wanted this build to look like at times, but I got there in the end. And what else do I get in on this build? Yeah, this part of the build is just the outside, and I have had to cut a little bit of it, which I'm not happy about. I really don't like doing that. I don't like cutting bits out of builds, but I think it was needed for this, because a lot of this build was placing the rocks in the moat, like around the edges, and the plants, and it is quite boring just watching someone place a load of rocks and a load of plants. So I think that was necessary to delete that out of the video. I have left a little bit in. There is a little bit of me like placing some of the rocks around, just so you can get like an idea of what I'm actually doing, how I've done that, and also the plants. I've kept in the plants I placed like round the sort of outside bit of the moat, just so you can sort of get an idea of what I'm doing with them as well. But yeah, most of that has been took out because I think there was like an extra, I think it was something like 10-15 minutes of me just placing rocks and plants, and I couldn't have kept that in. I mean, I'd be falling asleep watching that, but yeah. And right now I'm going to create the moat, and to do that I've just got out the basement tool and just drawn out like a jaggedy edged sort of room, and then I'm going down into the basement level and clicking on the room to make sure it's like selected as a room, so where the white sort of arrows come up where you can push and pull them to move the walls, and then going back up a floor so you get that yellow, that thick sort of yellow outline around the room. And if you click on that, if you zoom in good enough to click on it, it's very fiddly sometimes. You click on it and it does nothing, but yeah, if you click on it and you get it right, a little box should pop up and it says, what does it say? I think it's something like remove ceiling, and you click to remove the ceiling and that will reveal that room. You know, it'll remove all the grass, and if you were doing it as like just a normal room on one of your normal levels, it would just remove the ceiling obviously, and vice versa as well. I know sometimes when I have been building rooms, it's been like recognized as a room, but it just hasn't built the ceiling. So if you click on the room, so it like the white arrows pop up, and then you go up a level to get that yellow thick line, and you click on the line, then you can, like the box will come up and it'll say like build ceiling, so you can do that way. Because I know for a long time I just didn't have a clue what was happening when that happened, or like how to fix that. So I used to just go and get the foundation tool and just put my own floor on that way. But yeah, you can just rebuild the ceiling by doing what I just said there. But yeah, putting in the water as well, making sure to just leave some little sort of like little muddied areas there around the edges, just making sure I haven't made all of it water. Yeah, so that it's just easier for to place plants around there and the rocks later on. A lot of the rocks I use as well are I think they're tables and chairs out of Outdoor Retreat pack. Yeah, they're just a lot bigger and just better shaped than the actual rocks that we have in like the landscape and plant section. But yeah, I've used a lot of them, and also gone with the red water. I just thought it's a vampire's castle, you've got to use the red, haven't you? You know. But yeah, which actually later on in part 2, when I get round to furnishing this, I put like a sort of secret vampire-y, I don't know what it is, sort of like a, I don't know, maybe it's like a ritual room or something, and there's something in there that I do that ties in sort of with like the red water, if you imagine it. That I'll have to explain that in part 2. I haven't really explained it quite good, yeah. But yeah, in part 2 I will explain that a lot better. But yeah, now just placing a lot of the rocks around the place. Actually, these ones I'm placing right now get deleted because as I move my way around, I decide I wanted to make one of the walls taller, which obviously off-puts all the placement of these. So rather than going in and trying to fit rocks in the little gaps that it's created, I just decided to delete them all and do it again. But yeah, I probably should have took some of this out as well. But also around here I decided to put in like a little secret entrance, because there wasn't any way of getting into the water, so it's also like a way to get into the water and swim around. But then I also thought you can't actually walk down into here unless you use this secret entrance, but it's a vampire's like castle, and anyway, so they can turn into bats and fly, so it could be like a secret entrance to the sort of secret like room that I've built, that the vampires could just fly down to and go in that way. I mean, I know it's a Sims and we can't actually do that, but we can use our minds, you know? You can use your imagination and the world is your oyster. But yeah, so they, as you probably just saw, I've deleted all them rocks, which I know it doesn't look like it's taken us that long, but it takes forever to do this. Like I said earlier, like I've took out most of the rock and plant placements, but there was an actual extra 10 minutes or so to the video, and that was after I had speeded it up as well. It took us hours, but yeah, now it's just changed over and I'm getting in some more plants. So my idea with these ones here was that it's sort of like overgrown on the path, like I said before, vampires fly, so they don't need to be walking along there, so there's going to be a build up of plants and like little things like that. So yeah, it's just trying to make it look a bit overgrown, and yeah, just getting in a load of plants around the outside. Around the outside of the moat, where there isn't like the rocks hiding that harsh edge, I've just tried to hide it with a load of like grasses, low-lying bushes and just the normal bushes. Yeah, just trying to hide it with them, just making it look like they're overgrown over the edge, and yeah, with some of the bushes, just trying to make them look bigger than the actual orb by grouping them together like I have done there with them red, the bushes you can use as toilets. Yeah, just grouping that together, making a bigger bush, and also in the middle of that just raising some up so it looks taller than it actually is. I like doing that. Just gives it a bit more, I don't know, sort of like a real kind of look to it, makes it look a bit more real. Yeah, and also there's like darker green bushes, which they're quite round, which naturally bushes don't grow round, you know, so I like to try and group them together and make a different shape. Yeah, but just a lot of plant placements around here, and with them like low-lying little plants, bush things, I've been raising them up and putting them on the top of like the rocks to make it look like they were overgrown on the rocks and stuff. Yeah, and that's it really. There's not a lot I can say about this now. It's just a lot of rocks and plant placement. So I'm going to leave it here, and I think there's still like quite a little bit left of this. If you want to watch the rest of me play some plants, you're more than welcome to, or you can skip along to the screenshots. I have added some screenshots to this build, but yeah, I'm going to leave it here, and hopefully I will see you back for part 2, where I will be finishing this build, which I think I've done quite a good job, and I've also been able to come up with my own sort of little move objects sort of creation and try to build a coffin, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here, so thank you everybody for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!